Hey everybody, I'm Sarah, Lonesome Glory, and today I want to show you Mom and I's entries in the in-person BreyerFest diorama contest. So let's get started. Mom and I were working on these kind of side by side and at the same time, and I'm not gonna lie, we forgot to take pictures of a lot of the steps. What you're gonna see are the pictures that I did take. I split them up into the pictures we took of her projects and the picture we took of mine. So you'll be able to see kind of a gradual way that these got put together. As you know, the BreyerFest contest this year was an innovation or invention that drove us forward. And while I'm showing you the pictures, I will also talk a little bit about the subjects we chose for our dioramas. As you guys know, the theme for the in-person BreyerFest diorama contest this year is innovations or inventions that drive the world forward. So I chose to do my project based on Dr. George Washington Carver. He was a pioneer in the field of sustainable agriculture, specifically developing different ways to improve the soil using crop rotation. Dr. Carver was born into slavery in Diamond, Missouri, which is very close to where I live, which is part of the reason that I chose to use him as this diorama. So I did a couple of write-ups. You'll see later that on the back of the diorama there is a statement kind of who Dr. Carver was and what he did. And I don't expect anybody to be able to read it as quickly, so that's what I'm going to talk about now. The title of this diorama is George Washington Carver, Driving the World Forward Through Sustainable Agriculture. Possibly known best as the Peanut Man, George W. Carver lived a fascinating life. Born into slavery in 1864, Carver was freed after abolition. Carver became the first black student at Iowa State in 1891. He studied botany and was hired as the head of the Tuskegee Institute's agriculture department in 1896. Through his work at Tuskegee, Carver developed techniques to improve soil through crop rotation, urging farmers to alternate cotton plantings with sweet potatoes, peanuts, or soybeans. George W. Carver rose to fame after testifying as an expert witness regarding tariffs on imported peanuts in 1922. This was during a time when it was very unusual for an African American to appear before Congress at all. Carver published 44 informational bulletins for farmers related to his field of study, including tracts on alfalfa, sweet potatoes, cotton, and cowpeas. The most popular of these works was called How to Grow the Peanut and 105 Ways of Preparing It for Human Consumption. And before I stop talking and just kind of let you see how these things go on, I will point out that my favorite fun fact about Dr. Carver that I learned while putting this together was that the George W. Carver, didn't actually initially stand for anything. He just went by George W. Carver, never actually signed George Washington, and was asked by a reporter if the W stood for Washington, and his response was basically, yeah, sure, why not? So I just love that. I think it's amusing, but he was an amazing and fascinating man, and I am very pleased with how this diorama turned out, and I hope you guys enjoy seeing the different pieces and that I created to go with it. diorama is about the women's suffrage movement, the movement to get women the right to vote. Mom did a lot of research in getting ready to create this diorama, and she found some really interesting information about how the women's suffrage movement and the suffragettes adopted different colors to represent their ideals. So Mom used that, and you'll see later in the painting stage on here, she used that information to choose colors that would have been worn by suffragettes. Specifically, she went with purple and green. Purple represented royalty and the royal blood that flows in the veins of every suffragette. And green represented hope and the emblem of spring. Most often, suffragettes were seen wearing white, which represented purity. So those are the colors she chose for her diorama. And then this is what she had to say about the diorama itself. Women's right to vote was a part of a much larger movement to secure equal rights for women. In 1848, the first Women's Rights Convention was held in Seneca Falls, New York. Women worked tirelessly to secure their rights, writing books, making speeches, and mounting protests. In 1920, decades after the first Equal Rights Convention, the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution was passed. Few women who began this movement lived to see its passage. The amendment states, "The right of citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex." One of the parts that did add to our understanding here was, of course, Mary Poppins. We were both discussing this about her diorama, and we love those lyrics. We're clearly soldiers in petticoats and dauntless crusaders for women's votes. So I hope you've enjoyed Mom's diorama. Well, that's it. Those are our entries into the contest. I sent the pictures in to Breyer on the day I was supposed to, or a little early, and now they are all packed up and ready for our trip. I really hope you enjoyed seeing kind of the evolution of how we did things and the outcome of all of it. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions about BreyerFest, please let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.